Welcome to Energy Stew. This is Peter Roth, your host, and I'd like to ask you, what do animals know about us that we need to know more about? Do you have the answer to that? Well, we're going to speak with someone who is talking to them and getting these answers. And she's been on the show many times before. I'm so happy to have her back. Sandra Mendelson, welcome back to Energy Stew.
Thank you, Peter. It's really good to be here again.
Well, you talk to animals every day.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, actually, you're in great demand because so many pet owners, for instance, are confused by their pets,
Mhm.
and you help them understand what's going on. You also speak to many different species of wild animals. And, and so you're somebody who is an, I don't know, I'm thinking of the word interlocutor. I don't know what that means,
I take it. I like it. I don't know what it means either.
but you're someone who has answers to us that we need to hear about the animal world.
Well, sometimes, for 7 years straight, one species after another just kept coming through with messages for all humanity, straight through COVID. And, I published a few books. Um, and that was crazy, wonderful, exciting, mind expanding. And the phase I'm in right now is when I do one-on-one sessions for a client, the nature of the animal messages and what they have to tell their humans to explain their aberrant behavior is changing. Um, Animals are really 5D. They are unconditionally loving, accepting, non-judgmental, in the moment, trusting, flexing with what is, meaning adaptable. And the fascinating thing is they are willing, animal partners that we have, to be the bad guy, meaning they are willing to act out, risk being given away, and do anything it takes to get through to us when we are really not operating in our own best interest. Um, Here's a great example. And I have a few. Well, maybe we could only get to one, but I want to start off with a horse because the woman who has this horse runs a therapeutic riding center. She's very much about energy and healing and paying attention to the horse and what they do for humans. However, she has a horse. I'll change his name. Well, she doesn't actually. She said it's fine. His name is Malibu. Um, and Malibu lives at a boarding place. Well, anybody could get on Malibu's back except for my client. Every time she got on his back, he would bite her and bite her and bite her. Well, I started listening to him, and I in the middle of the night, it was a few hours, and he basically said, she's so living her work instead of her life. She's so busy following the rules that she's built upon that she has forgotten herself. Like, can she remember what it's the little girl and the giggles and the freedom to be silly? And, he said, when you get on my back, you're only totally in your head. You're like a robot riding a mechanical bull. You are all head focused. Take off the costume, put away the saddle, and get on my back and just drape yourself over me and let the tears come. Because I know that deep inside you are a little girl who just wants to love her horse more than anything. Second of all, he said, when you drop your guard and your defenses, your results with others' healing will be more incredible. Right and right. And let the words come out. Number two, go through the program that you offer all by yourself. Be vulnerable, soft white underbelly. He said it isn't that your business model is bad, it's that you can't see through the eyes of the participants. And this happens in so many therapeutic settings where the therapist takes themselves out of the equation. We are all here to heal. I literally had a horse at a therapeutic center that was on, he ripped his head through the stall bars, cuts both sides of his face because he was so anxious to talk to me. Because the woman that was working with him, shall we say, was just mentally in control and constant analysis. So not only is he listening to all the thoughts of, as all horses do, the participant, but also the therapist. So what what horses in general are showing us is how, and so with our dogs and cats, how we are blocking them, our blocking our true self from emerging. Like think about yourself as a house, and you've only opened a few doors in the house. So really discovering who you are, getting out of the programming and faulty beliefs, and also to understand that what they are doing is always to benefit us. Like a dog won't say, I'm all alone, and nobody loves me. A dog will say, I've been left alone, I have no one to love and watch over.
I
You
love
understand?
that. Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's how they operate. So if I do nothing else in this brief show, I want people to consider flipping the lens. Here's a great example. I know that animals will bring through, will demonstrate the love of your loved one, animal or human, who's out of form. When my dog was in form, we were sitting next to a table with a man and two kids, and I felt that the wife was not there, meaning not on earth. My dog just decides to drape himself over the little boy's feet and won't move. Obviously, the husband puts something together and he looks up at me and just said, my wife passed away. I said, I know, and she's here. My dog is bringing through her love right now. And he just got all teary eyed
Oh, it's beautiful.
because this is, and here's another one. I was with two friends, one of whom I'm the only one that didn't have a dog, and we're sitting in a shallow lake. 12 times this massive golden retriever runs towards me at full speed and throws himself in my lap with the water going everywhere. And then he goes onto the beach and rolls to release the energy. And one of the things Mr. T said to me is, you need to work on joy. So when we come back together, when I come back, when it's time for me to come back, we'll be at a higher level. There was no agenda on the part of this dog other than to bring through the love of Mr. T and have me experience through giggling and being soaking wet joy. We misinterpret their behavior over and over again. Another client, let's say another client I have has a really invasive cat. Cat is in her face, pawing and smacking. I mean, the cat's already 14, has been with her since she was a kitten. And she misinterprets everything, as we do as humans. He's trying to show her by invasiveness to look at the relationships in her life that have been invaded. She had no boundaries. So the cat is saying, look at your mother and your relationships and who came and made demands, and you accommodated them over and over and over again. They call us out when we are in our monkey mind. A cat will stare at you like crazy. They call us out when where they sit between you and the computer, or they trash your papers and you think they're being bad. They're trying to tell you you're overworking, you have no balance. And a big one with cats, and what this cat said in particular is, notice where your mind was when I acted out. Start putting the pieces together. They are acting in your best interest. You think they want you to play with them? No, they're trying to get you to tap into your ability to play and let go. You think they need to get outside? Yes, they want it, but they want you to get out into nature to clear your energy and your head.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Flip everything around, you know? That is absolutely the message I have to share. Like this, back to the horse, he kept saying, you're pretending everything is fine, and I know you're not. So in other words, she built up her business, everything was control, and she's a beautiful person, but where was her heart? Where was her joy? Where was her freedom? The horse is calling her out on that. So she was all ready to get rid of him. I do this reading. She starts putting some of these, get off don't be on my back, spend time with me, sit with me, graze, meditate, share your secrets, be with me. He said, you haven't seen all of me yet because you haven't seen all of you yet. So she starts putting this into practice. For 2 weeks, she's texting me all these amazing things that are happening. She can't believe it. And then he starts to bite her again. I said, my dear, we do not completely overhaul our lives and our issues in 2 weeks. If we did, I'd be the first one online. So because she was hysterically crying, I think I have to get rid of him. He would be happier with someone else. No, he is willing to keep showing her where we cut off our joy, where we're living out an image, working. You know what I mean? They're always bringing us back to the truth, the purity of who we are, which is joyous and free and creative and expressive.
And
So
this is so helpful that our listening audience, I think, will really be looking at their pets differently just from what you've been saying.
I hope so. If you do nothing else, remember we are programmed to interpret our animal's behavior as a certain thing, and there's certain behaviors. I always have to bring this up that really keep us from seeing through their eyes. Number one, infantilizing them. They are not babies after the first, not even the first year. They were like a teenager. So we infantilize them. We paint their nails. We think it's cutie. Oh, mama, we talk baby talk. Of course, they're going to love you through everything, especially a dog. Will love you, but they're not going to encourage you to talk baby talk, right? So here they are, especially cats. They're sending you energy. They're protecting you. If you want to enter their world, try asking instead of demanding. Would you come with me here? Right? Anytime they're doing a behavior you don't want, forget about the negatives and the bad and the no. Right? This is sort of like typical dog training, but it does work. I'm just putting the spin on it that it's coming from respect. When you say, would you like to come with me here? Would you come here? Instead of constantly ordering them around like they're in boot camp. I mean, these are very simple things that we can, simple behaviors we don't realize we're taught to control them and be the alpha male or the alpha female. Sure, they're going to act. I've seen dogs cowering in fear from their humans. I see them choked and dragged on leashes, and I'm like, you have to let that go because remember, they're in a contract with each other. I'm not telling people to go out and start criticizing each other. I'm saying, look at yourself. Your animal is showing you through their behavior
Yeah,
maybe what your next steps are.
right. It all needs perspective, and we get too close to it, and we get caught up in the minor details and not see the big messages.
And there's even more. Tammy Billups, who I know has written 2 books, Soul Healing with Our Animal Companions, and the second one is Animal Way Showers. And in the first book, she really details how our animals have the same core wounds that we do. So the 5 types are the needy one, the fearful one, the sensitive, the protector, and the perfect one. Perfect one, by the way, tends to be much more cerebral. They tend to be police dogs a lot, service animals. But it's it's really fascinating because we may not be aware of our own core wounds, but once we identify what our animals are, we start having these aha moments where we realize we will do the same thing. And so I highly recommend people to get soul healing with our animal companions. If your animal's acting out, if Tammy's got some exercises in there, and she'll do a session with human and animal. If in order to start changing behaviors, sometimes as in when I'm doing a reading, the behavior changes and it's absolutely miraculous. Recently a woman adopted a corgi 6 weeks ago. She's elderly and she rescued this dog from a home where the human had died from alcoholism. And they said the dog was special needs. No. she explained everything to me, why the woman drank, her nasty brother upstairs hoarding 29 cats, who was brutal to this woman, brutal to the dog. You know, she said the dog kept saying there was so much darkness, I had to keep chasing it away. All I could do is protect her. And so I bark, and then they say I'm a patient. I actually can solve problems and lead others, and no, they have no idea what I'm capable of. And so I finally said, "But Becca, why do you bark and bite every time someone comes into the home where you are now?" And she said, the woman's light is so strong. I have to prevent darkness from landing on her, other people's stuff. And the other thing she said was, I need to protect her so she doesn't hurt herself the way my other human did. So I told her, first of all, her light is very strong and she will not hurt herself. And I gave her an exercise. I told her that she should stand in front of the woman and have the client or this new person stand behind her. Okay, Becca, notice what is happening to her physical body. Is she in danger? No. I said, now feel the energy coming from the person behind her. Is her energy in jeopardy? No. The next 2 days later, the woman called me and said, a new person just came to the house, and Becca did not bite and did not bark for the very first time. And I have hope, and I really want to keep her now. And the dog was really clear, like, if you can't be around, you got to pick a really good person to take care of me. No shortcuts. They have to be smart. They have to really listen. And the woman went, oh, I had somebody watch her one day and it was a disaster. That
Uh-huh.
must have been the shortcut. So, dog knows her needs, but labeled a special needs dog was so erroneous. She's only 2 or 3. She's totally already, her heart is already healing from being with this woman who she said not only loved me, but loved my human, even when she was destroying herself. What the animals perceive is so amazing. I mean, and I love doing this work because I learned something from every single one of them, how deeply understanding and aware they are of what we have to deal with, in life. Oh,
Yeah, it's wonderful. And the fact that it's so easy for you to speak to these animals and not only to speak with them, but to understand. I think maybe all these years of experience you've had has helped you seek richer communication.
like anything else, practice, practice. And the biggest reason for practice is getting over your own doubt. From the moment I first heard the horse that cracked open my entire consciousness and opened this whole world for me, I had 3 years of massive doubt, really tripping me up. And then I would pull away from it, and I'm making this up. And what do I do with the And then when I moved down to Florida and the stuff just started coming so fast and furious from all these horses I was sitting in front of. And then animals started coming in virtually. I would see a leopard behind my eyes, and the pen would start going. And I'm like, that's not me. Math and ethics and things that they do and in their world, there's just no way I could know this stuff. So, like anything else, the more you do it, the more that comes to you. I mean, early on, somebody said, well, I understand there are these sharks that can live up to 500 years off of Greenland. Can you communicate with them? And my answer was no. Well, this past January, I was on the phone with a friend and I see those ancient sharks like swimming behind my eyes. And I said, can I call you back? And basically, what they said is, we live as long as we do because we are not of the earth. We are powered by light. We are light beings. And we are here to help all the ocean creatures through everything that happens in the ocean, from sonic booms and pollution and war. And basically they said nobody goes without help. So that's what they're here for. It was a simplification. Obviously, maybe there was more, but that would explain why they can live for hundreds of years, because they're not of the earth.
Yeah.
Right?
I have my younger son and his wife and my new 1-year-old grandson have 2 cats,
Mm-hmm.
Fred and Murray. but it's interesting that from the very beginning, when my grandson was born, Fred really connected, and there's so many instances where they cuddle together, and my grandson hugs Fred, and Murray stays away. Murray just lets
Mhm.
Fred have it all, and it's
Um,
fascinating to watch.
and yes and no. In fact, I just was reading something that Tammy wrote about and I get this all the time, about the different roles that they play. Some of them just have this transformational presence. They're not all over the human. That's not their role. And she gives stories about
But
animals that like what?
but Murray can do that with my son and daughter-in-law. He can cuddle with them, but he
Okay.
doesn't cuddle with my grandson.
Oh, okay. All right, right. Yeah, well, that's obviously a very conscious choice. To get the specs,
Sure.
about really why I'd have to
You
communicate.
have to tune in, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But
But
I
but
just
that,
am bringing it up because it was fascinating that Fred took on this role with my grandson of being such a close companion, and they both, get it about each other, and yet the other cat, doesn't seem interested in doing that, nor does my grandson chase him around.
no, it's that they all have different roles to play.
Right.
Here's a simple example in the wild, right? A rat came out to eat some of the nuts that I put out. I have no problem with that. The squirrels and even the rabbit chased away the rat and said, there is a natural order to things. They do not belong out in the daylight.
Hmm.
So there's a natural order also to the roles that individual animals are here to fulfill.
No, it's fascinating. And now, I mean, we'll talk more because you have so much to tell us, and I love talking with you. Um, because the animals, the way they get along in community is really important, and and all these hierarchies, roles, and what's expected of each
Peter,
species.
I have to interject something because it blew my mind. Imagine this. Now, unlike in the human world, the cats can hear everything each other is thinking.
Hmm.
There are no secrets. Do you understand, like from our perspective, the pressure to get along when everybody knows what everybody is thinking? There's no hiding. So you get 8 cats, 20 cats in a house. It's just, I'm bringing this up because, wow, can you imagine? I mean, living with someone when you knew each other's thoughts, it would be a nightmare. So they are really working it. That's my point.
Well, it's a new way of
Much,
being. Humans someday will be like that,
you got it.
and we'll just learn how to expect more of ourselves and each other because of that.
So, oh my goodness, the setting such a higher standard for thoughts and emotions, right?
Yeah,
Because
but then again, if we're in 5D at that point to be able to do that, it'll be easier for us to have thoughts that it's, are valuable
well,
and worthy of
what
that.
that's why what the animals keep saying is en route to that, to live the principles that the animals do, which is to love unconditionally, love everybody without judgment, listen without judgment, tend to our own energy, cultivate gratitude, empathy, um, forgiveness, patience, all those beautiful things. It isn't to deny that we have challenging emotions because we're human, but it feels good. And we really do make a beautiful ripple effect anytime we can sit in this 5D space. And it's always founded in those traits within ourselves. In other words, compassion towards ourselves, right? Forgiveness,
Right.
unconditional love.
When
That's
our
how.
thoughts become more transparent to each other,
Mm,
then we realize how important our thinking is in ways that we need to upgrade it.
You know what? That in and of itself is the most spiritual thing we can do. You know, like Lion would come through and just say, we drag up the past like an old bone that foretells the future. But the bottom line is, this thing is just something that it's a garbage can. Our mind needs to be scrubbed routinely, whether we feel we're not doing a good job at living, and that's our ego talking. And everything is about, if you can't, what did the Lion say? If you cannot be aware of the thoughts running through your head, you will be unconscious of the effect you have on everything around you. It always comes back to this the mind getting in the way of the heart.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
you
so
know,
animals are great teachers,
there.
but we need to know what they're teaching, and it takes people like you to speak with them and pass on the messages.
Well, some people, if they sit quietly and they really start paying attention, they will see the choices that their animals are making. It's not an accident. How does your animal handle different things? And if not, they're still working through trauma, right? If they accept everyone, and like my dog just was calm and peaceful with everyone. And he told me he worked very hard to let go of his past. Case in point, when I first brought him home, I could not put a blanket or a towel anywhere over his head. It took him the full 6.5 to 7 years. And the very few last months of his life, he crawled under the covers and slept there the whole night. And he said, I've been working on my fears and letting them go, and you must do the same. They make conscious choices, but always remember they're all at unique levels of evolution, just like people.
Right. So the show, our talk is almost over, and I think that I feel very excited to think differently from it, and I'm so happy to be enlightened by you.
Well, I feel that way every time you and I talk, and I actually let you talk.
Well, shucks. Thank you. So,
Thank you for letting me share so much. It's a lot
so
of talking, but
how
thank
can
you.
people follow up?
Oh, absolutely. Reach me at my website, smendelson.com. Um, that's the fastest way, if they want to contact
And
me,
you're
see
on
what
Facebook.
I'm on Facebook. I have two pages, but Sandra.L.Mendelson or We Walk Beside You. So I have two pages basically that have the same thing.
Right.
I'm on LinkedIn. Um, I'm on Instagram, but the problem with Instagram is that there's a limited amount of words. And so the animals may come through with a message that's two paragraphs. And so it's really good for memes and, one-liners. But what I have to share through the animals is usually more than just one line. It's
Right.
to awaken us.
Sure.
So yeah.
So, and We Walk Beside You is the name of one of your books.
Well, I have two books, book one and book two. And yes, We Walk Beside You is the main title. The first one is Animal Messages for an Awakening World, and the second one is Animal Insights for Everyday Living. So they're different formats. One of them is more like a story, and the second book is a message for the day kind of thing.
That's
That
wonderful.
yeah,
So, Sandra Mendelson, thanks so much. I love talking with you and
thank you.
hope to speak with you again soon.
I hope so.
And this is Peter Roth, your host of Energy Stew at prn.live. I can be reached at peter at heartriver, HEART river.org. I'd love to hear from you, and thanks so much for listening.